Good morning, everyone. Pretty excited to be here. My name is Roee Furman, and I'm the managing director at Doral Energy Tech Ventures, which is the corporate innovation and investment arm of Doral Group. Doral Energy is a global renewable energy developer with more than 15 gigawatts in our pipeline, active in the US, Europe, and also in Israel, doing various type of projects in the renewable fields. We launched Doral Tech approximately 1.5 years ago to set up the innovate and also to invest in the ecosystem, in startups, and even incubate some some projects from the academia. And I would like to say welcome to you to the Clean Energy System panel discussion. If you are here, it's because you care. You care about the environment, you care about the humanity, and you care about your family. You are also here to learn about the climate change and the energy transition. I guess that you would like to also learn about the challenges and the enormous opportunities that this climate and energy transition brings. So you came to the right place, and thank you for your time. According to the US Energy Information Administration, the global energy demand will grow by 47% in the next 30 years. This is driven mainly by population and economic growth. How we are going to meet this growing demand for energy in a green and clean fashion? Is it possible? What tech innovation and trends will support the transition? What is the role of the ecosystem, entrepreneurs, investors, corporate, VC firms, governmental bodies, and individuals? And what will be the next multi-billion-dollar business in the clean energy domain? So I'm thrilled that you guys are here in this panel. And we will try to address these questions during this panel. So we have a vision of 100% green and clean energy and net zero industries. How do we go and get there? What tech innovations can advance low carbon energy? What are the trends that we see? So I would like you to address this question. What are the main trends that you see nowadays in the energy transition and the climate and the energy world? If you can, in 2 sentences, maybe add 1 sentence about yourself and about the firm you're representing, and then we'll dive into the topics. So Sofoklis, you can start with you.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be in the TII, Technology Innovation Institute in Abu Dhabi, where we are now building a new sector on hydrogen and clean energy systems. Thank you for the invitation. And I must say that hydrogen, which is an element that does not have any carbon or nitrogen in its chemistry, is the only solution for now, for this technology that we have in our hands, for hydrogen energy autarky. If we want to be autonomous, and we need to do it right now for the climate change, we must act through the hydrogen energy. Unfortunately, we are not able to capture CO2 from the atmosphere at this moment. If we could, we didn't need to handle with hydrogen. But right now is the only way to go from water to water through this energy carrier. This is the truth.
So before, let's present yourself, Harold and Rami, and then if you can explain a little bit more, what is it, hydrogen, just to set the stage for the audience about hydrogen. So Harold, to you.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Harold Wiener. I'm the general partner of Terra Venture Partners. It's a 15 years old climate change venture capital. We invest in the very, very early stage when people have only a deck and an idea and a team. We invest the first $1 million when nobody else is even looking at the company. We have 30 companies in our portfolio. We are impact investors, not only investing in energy and sustainability, but agriculture, food, water, and many other things that improve the quality of life of people. And I believe, to your question, Roee, is that what I see is, first of all, the low-hanging fruit is energy efficiency. It's very, very cheap and very efficient, so this is the first. Second, solar, wind, hydro, and I think that in the future, we will have to have some nuclear to have a common base load. And I think that the most important thing that we see right now is the people are waking up and they understand that there is a big problem. We will talk about it after that in the next question. But the most important development that I see is that solar energy is becoming the new real estate, meaning that we are talking about businesses and not only greenwash. And this is a very important trend that I think that we have to take into consideration.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me today. My name is Rami Reshef. I'm a co-founder and CEO of GenCell Energy. GenCell, it's an 11 years old company. It's a public company traded here in Israel. We are developing and selling a fuel cell platform while we're using hydrogen and ammonia as our main feedstock. We're already present in 22 countries. And basically, 2 cents to your question, Roee, is that I believe the fact that we are sitting here together today here, we see all this bunch of companies, which means that after cyber techs and clean techs, we can see the climate tech become reality, which means everyone right now worldwide recognize that there's an issue, big issue, and technology could solve at least part of this issue of global warming.
Thank you. So, Sofoklis, we hear a lot about hydrogen. You mentioned it by yourself. Can you please elaborate? First of all, what is hydrogen? What is this gas, molecules, what everybody speaks about? And why it's considered to be the fuel of the future? And some would argue that it's probably the fuel of the present. So, if you can just to set the stage on what is hydrogen.
Okay, thank you. Hydrogen is the simplest molecule on Earth. So Earth is blue. Since we have a lot of water, we can use it to produce hydrogen because it's the cleanest energy carrier in the world right now. Of course, hydrogen is the fuel of the present, and nuclear to hydrogen or combinatorial processes through nuclear materials, waste nuclear, also hydrogen production. It is something innovative. This is the fuel of the future, with nuclear power and nuclear materials, in my opinion. Through all this, because I've been in hydrogen technology since 2004, like we saw, through the magnetic materials, you can store hydrogen in order to produce energy, or you can use it for batteries, not lithium-ion batteries, but nickel metal hydride batteries. These are very important because we can valorize. It is a word I learned in KU Leuven, one of the most innovative universities in the world. Valorization of rare earths is possible. Lithium is not possible to make a reveal from what waste we have. There are not many companies around the globe. You have electricity here, and I heard that it is from natural gas and from coal. Very small amount of solar panels, like you said, Harold. So when you put your electric station to charge your electric cars, it is not green. We are talking about climate change, so we have to have standalone systems. We are able as a community, we want smart cities. Of course, we can put a flag on hydrogen in our homes. There are companies in Australia that they have products of nickel, metal hydride batteries, hydrogen storage materials, hydrogen production in-house for 20 kilowatts and above. So we need to see the world as a large supermarket. The technology is here. The decisions and the political decisions are important to establish the new direction of zero carbon emission, because this is a target, not hydrogen as a molecule or as an energy carrier, but zero carbon emissions, because otherwise, in 10 years, we may have an increasement of the temperature more than 2 degrees Celsius. This will be a disaster. We need to reverse it. So this is where I stop, and hopefully the other people will agree with me.
Yeah, development between the panelists is always challenging. We will try to make it happen. And more than that, hydrogen is also present in every industry. Basically, you can think about everything in life, like glass, in fertilizers, in food, and so on. So it's basically all over the place. The idea is to decarbonize, even in steel production and so on. Rami, the next one is to you. So how can GenCell play a role in this hydrogen revolution? And can hydrogen by itself can secure an energy independency?
So if I'll piggyback on the previous answer, I think that hydrogen is not the objective. The objective is to meet decarbonization goal of the world. So if the world would like to meet the decarbonization goal, let's say by 2050, hydrogen will play a role. It will play a role together with other green technology, solar, wind, geothermics, anything that can contribute to that will play a role in this equation. So the estimation is that hydrogen by 2050 will be 20% from the total energy market worldwide. It will represent around 550 million tons of hydrogen that will produce annually. The market value that more than $2.5 trillion. So this is a market. This is big. So we at GenCell, when we founded GenCell around the hydrogen technology that mainly been used in mission to space by NASA, we have decided that we want to bring this technology from space to Earth. And this is where we have invested a lot of money, blood, and tears in order to develop a technology that can shift this technology from being a niche market to a mainstream market. And we are taking this platform in different verticals, starting first of all to immune the critical points in our economy that right now they are very fragile due to extreme weather conditions, that this is results of our global warming, up to powering off-grid and poor-grid world, where surprisingly we found out that more than 3 billion people lack proper electricity for basic economic development. And I would say that the cherry on the cake on that is that we found out that hydrogen, there was a big battle between a hydrogen car and electrical car. Eventually, electrical car won. Right nowadays, it's clear that most of the cars will be electric. Hydrogen will play a role in public transportation, heavy transportation, mainly public trains and even aviation. What we are trying to do right now is to use the hydrogen as the feedstock in order to charge electrical cars. So there's many, I would say, verticals and targets for the hydrogen to play a role. But again, it will not be the sole solution if the world would like to meet the decarbonization goal.
Thank you. In order also to develop and to produce this green hydrogen, we need also product developers such as ourselves. So as Doral, we see ourselves as the product developers, as an enablers to this revolution. And we're developing green hydrogen projects also here in Israel. It started small and then it scaled up. However, I want to point out one data point that I captured recently. According to Jefferies Bank, investment bank from the US, they published a report, I think in March, by saying that until 2030, the global demand for electrolyzers, the machine, the system that produces hydrogen, the demand will be 400 gigawatts. 400. The manufacturing capacity, including China, will be only 70. 70. So we have a tremendous gap between the demand and the supply. So Harold, I want to point out the next question to you. What can be done in the meantime? It seems to be like almost mission impossible to meet this gap. So what can we do in the meantime to meet these increasing energy needs?
Okay, so first of all, I think that I have good news for you is that you don't have to worry. The second thing is that there is a problem, but the problem is already here and it's too late. And we are talking about 2030 and 2050, and we are talking about something that we should solve today. The good news are that we have the solution. The solution is cheap and economical, meaning that people can make money from that, and then it will become the trend that is right now solar, and of course Doral knows very well. The solution of solar energy, wind and hydro are very economical. It will be better, but we have to finance the solutions right now to implement the only solution for the problem, which is cutting the carbon today, not in 2030, not in 2050. So what's the problem? The problem is financing, because the solution is here. We need to electrify the whole world. Maybe we will not solve 100% of the problem. We will solve 80% of the problem, which is transportation. Once we use electrification for transportation, meaning lithium batteries or better, whatever, but batteries for transportation is one. The grid, we have solar energy, wind and hydro, and also heating, which is a very large part of the problem of the carbon emissions, are going to be electrified with heat pumps, and it's happening right now. So if we take care of electrification of everything tomorrow with good financing, which is available, because we have plenty of money in this world, we have more money than we can ever imagine. The problem is regulations, political issues, and what they call the Schumpeter phenomenon. Schumpeter was an economist in 900, that he told us one thing that is very clear. In order to make something constructive, we have to distract the whole system. And this is something that brings a lot of resistance, but we need to electrify everything by solar energy, by wind energy. It's something that it's not only economical, it's economically viable today. And right now in the States and in Europe, there is already a very, very good vibe and a very, very clear trend. There is the Inflation Reduction Act that is $500 billion going to be invested in creating solar infrastructure for producing the panels and the cells in America, which will bring supply security, national security, and a lot of green jobs and fabs that will create a totally, totally different economy that will be green. It's frightening because it's getting rid of the carbon, but this is something that is in our head. So the good news is that it's a psychological problem and not a real one, which is, it's not easy to deal with. So in general, we need solar tomorrow and a lot. In order to do solar, we need fabrication of solar cell panels and have the whole chain in the United States and Europe. And I believe that even to produce hydrogen, the most important thing, if you do it by electrolysis or any other thing, you need very, very cheap hydrogen, very, very cheap electricity in order to get cheap hydrogen. So you don't have to worry. Things will come to the right place.
So thank you. You touched upon financing as a challenge. It's like money is available, but companies are struggling to put their hands on this financing. So can you double click what a startup company can do in order to tap into better financing for their development or even deployment? What type of vehicles would you recommend to your startups from your portfolio to take and to approach?
First of all, take a look at the economics from day one. Sometimes you come with an idea. I don't want to give examples, but let's say that you want to capture the CO2 from there, and you have an amazing technology. But technology is a very important thing, is the most important catalyst for the improvement of quality of life of billions. But without financing and without a model, we cannot build sustainable businesses. And from my perspective, sorry to be the one to bring this bad news, you cannot make an impact without building huge businesses. So first of all, my first advice to the entrepreneurs is think about the business model when you think about the technology, and to the investors, don't invest in things that are not going to be viable from the economical point of view, because we have to understand that even in the deployment or the research, every dollar that we invest right now in the wrong solution from the beginning is a dollar less that is invested in the right solution for the future. So I think that I am a technologist. Our venture capital invests only in technologies that are patentable in the very early stage. But at the end of the day, the secret is building together a company that brings technology, and financing and a viable business model at the same time. Go to talk to the customers before you develop the technology and understand if this model and the economics are viable.
Thank you. So you also touched upon the need for clean and renewable energy, and that can be electrified basically anything. But we have one challenge that we meet in the solar industry, for example, which is we produce only during the daytime. So we need to store this energy, and it brings us to the energy storage systems that we need to deploy alongside the renewable assets. However, we are facing also, we touched upon before that, on the supply chain constraints, and we also facing raw materials constraints. For example, you can think about the materials that are embedded within this lithium ion, for example, energy storage systems. Some of these materials are materials that by definitions are in distress. And if you will electrify anything, let's say EV cars and so on, all of these batteries will go to this direction and will not necessarily store energy, because again, the unit economics there are far more appealing for the corporates in terms of business decisions. So, Sofoklis, I would like to just to address this one to you. Given that we want to and aim to transform into renewable energy, and we need energy storage to do that, but we know and well aware that the materials are pretty much is challenging to adopt in at scale at a global fashion. Is this transition to renewable energy realistic?
No, it is not. I highly disagree with you, Harold, because if renewable energy would be the key point, then Denmark wouldn't invest in hydrogen production and hydrogen storage and utilization. The president of Nel Hydrogen, which is the largest company on electrolyzers on the globe, always said at the last meetings in European Commission, I'm really amazed, these are his words, how cheap hydrogen becomes. So in this way, we have to consider what is the cheapest way to produce hydrogen. We have to start from this point. And there are technologies like plasma thermolysis and microwaves that are really innovative in the direction of creating the 17 gigawatts, as you said before, because we are a very small electrolyzer right now on Earth. Nel Hydrogen has the ability to build large electrolyzers of 500 megawatts. Do you realize that it is far away from gigawatts? Yes. The only one in Europe will be in Spain in 8 months from now. So, considering that there is one in America, perhaps it will be one in China of 1 gigawatt, we are not able to produce alkaline water electrolyzers in a day. So, where do we have to go? My opinion is to go to nuclear power, to use it as a green hydrogen production, because we will have a lot of quantity. There are also the processes of micro nuclear reactors in America. The technology is well known. Now, the financing, I must say the following. What do we have to look? We have to look at the taxation. The first sector that we have taxation on carbon emission is the decision of International Maritime Office. So we are solvers. We need to solve a problem. What is the problem? We don't want to pay taxes. First of all, financing is an important thing. So if the IMO decides to put barriers every 2 years, then we have to follow it. Go to maritime, solve a problem there. 45% of the emissions are on the buildings. If your government decide to put the taxation on your buildings, then you will have to go to hydrogen. There is no other way. So taxation is a key point for financial support of new developments. This was actually the idea of solar panels 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And where are we now? We need to see a whole economic sphere on the way right now on zero carbon emissions. Unfortunately, and I must say that, unfortunately, without the fuel that does not have carbon, which is in the taxes now, and nitrogen, which is 4 100 more emissionable and dangerous to the environment than carbon will come. Ammonia is not a case to handle as a new fuel, because ammonia is very dangerous for the mechanical engineers in maritime applications. I know that because I collaborate with Abets Engines in Belgium. They build large engines for ships. And the engineers do not like ammonia at all. We are speaking about ammonia, but it is not the solution, because emissions are important case of development. First, we have to see emissions, then we need to choose the fuel. So this is my opinion regarding the whole process. Renewable is not the solution. We need to find other ways in order to create cheap hydrogen. And this is nuclear, nothing else.
I guess that we will need to set another panel to double take on the nuclear and the fusion hypes and trends, because this is a huge topic. So with your permission, I'm going to pass on the double taking on the nuclear side. It is very interesting. I'm just thinking about market education. Imagine your neighborhood with a nuclear reactor. Some would say it's risky. But I tend to agree that this is one of the most greener and most efficient technology, I would say, to produce energy. But you've mentioned the challenges when innovation, technology, or even chemical processes are meeting engineers, for example, in the shipping industry. So there is a lot of trends. We're speaking about green ammonia, hydrogen, and so on and so forth. Rami, you took an IP, an intellectual property from a university, or maybe from a university, and took it all the way from idea into a commercial-ready product. So it means you need to interact with this engineer and to meet all the, let's say, life itself in the integration and so on. Can you walk us through what were the challenges in taking idea or innovation up to commercial-ready product?
Yes, sure. When founded, I think it's better. Okay, when we founded GenCell around in 2011, we had a big vision and a big dream. And as Harold said, we looked into that from the economic point of view. Can we make it economical viable? At the moment that the answer was yes, we can do it. Then started the journey of taking a good idea. In that moment, we thought that this is the best idea in the world, and starting the journey. And journey always includes, in every startup, you need to raise capital. Always raise capital, and Harold will tell you, raise when you can, not only when you need. And you need to develop the old technology, take it from concept to prototype to first proof of concept, and then take it out, present it to the customer, checking the market. So I think all these type of challenges that every startup is facing, we faced. But I would say one more thing, since we are capital-intensive technology. Okay, it's not, let's say, you can put few programmers that will write 1 million lines of codes and then you have a solution. Now it's something that it's much more comprehensive. You have chemistry, physics, math, thermodynamics, software, very, very comprehensive solution that you need to bring from the lab to the field. And you said, Harold, that you need to solve a big problem. In order to solve a big problem, you need to speak with big customers. And big customers, they are not easy. No, I didn't find so far any easy customer. And then it takes a couple of years that you need to prove that what you are saying is what you can deliver. And then you need to prove to yourself that your technology and platform could work. And again, you need to raise capital, improve your product, invest in your production line. So it's like a 360 circle that you need to invest. And after a couple of years, when we started to get reaction from the market, we build a strong relationship with key market leaders in our segments, such as in the telco industry, Deutsche Telekom and Vodafone, in the energy market, let's say in US, for example, Sempro Energy, key leaders, markets that actually give us the confidence that yes, we have a solution to some of the problems, and most likely this solution could drive and generate significant amount of revenue. This is where we decided to take the company, float the company from a private company to a public company. And I would say that this was a nice journey that ended up very successfully. And I would say that at least right now, there's one obstacle, one challenge that I have less on my shoulder is raising capital. But you have many more bosses right now. You have a totally different company. But I think that this was a really good decision and step from our point of view. Allow us right now to mature the company, to take it to more and more markets, invest more money in the product and in technology. And also I would say, and I will use this opportunity to refer to the previous discussion, is try to solve I would say the holy grail issue of our industry is how to store energy. We talked about lithium-ion batteries, we talked about hydrogen, but we are true believers in ammonia. But we're true believers in green ammonia, and this is where we believe that all this surplus energy that Doral Energy and other solar company will produce, and producing right now, but we believe that there will need to have more and more solar farms in the world in order to power our life, then definitely a liquid fuel that can be a super sufficient storage tool. This is definitely will help us and the other parts of the world to meet the decarbonization goal.
I don't know if you noticed, but while Rami was speaking about, we just need to take it from the cell stack. We carry on with the R&D. It's not a trivial thing to do at all. It can take years even to maintain the efficiency. So well done to take idea into a commercial product. It's very not trivial, and kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
Sofoklis, you have a very unique experience and global view. You've done some projects in Australia, in the US, in Southeast Asia, and you landed just yesterday from Abu Dhabi. Can you shed some light or give your insights to the audience, especially for startups? What should be the go-to market? Which markets can you see more of an early adopters to such technologies?
At this point, I have a vision too for spin-offs and startups over the last 10 years. And what I see right now is that if you put your efforts in the storage and compression systems, because we need to store hydrogen somewhere, and materials is very important sector. Of course, there are huge problems there, but as researchers and engineers, we found solutions, because if you have some milligrams, it is not easy to go to tons. It's not easy. Upscaling is a long way. But I think students and investors right now understand that since hydrogen economy, Goldman Sachs has announced a number 2 years ago. They said 1.2 billion. And 3 months ago, they increased this 3 times, the hydrogen economy. European Union, I am in the IPCI, Integrated Projects for European Commission. I judged too many projects. And I saw that the oil companies and gas companies are really keen to develop hydrogen. So I say to the investors, don't afraid hydrogen economy. It will be the only one that can stand not at 2050, it's far away. We don't have time. We need actions right now. And politicians also have a lot of obligations. We are communities. We need to build a sustainable environment. So, regulations, safety. There are 3 main words for hydrogen safety. Ventilation, ventilation, and ventilation. These are the three key points. Lavo Company in Australia, as I told you, builds hydrogen economy for houses, businesses, etc. So if the investors, they really want to make money, they have to put their money in the sustainable processes of hydrogen economy, because they will put 1 million, they will get 10 millions from governments. Otherwise, the goal will not be at all achievable. So if all these governments want to go to green environment because there are taxation, if NOx will have the 400 euros per ton taxation, then I don't believe nitrogen will survive, my friend. Sorry. That is why I'm saying, go to clean environment. And of course, there is another very important innovative approach of producing hydrogen, waste nuclear materials. If we gather all nuclear waste, we can produce easily hydrogen through high temperatures, 600 degrees Celsius. And you can ask me where we will find this temperature. If you pump 5,000 meters for oil, but you will not use oil, you will use the thermal power, you may have 800 degrees Celsius. They know it. Oil companies know it. So you have steam. When you have steam, you can produce hydrogen very cheaply, very cheaply. So this is the next generation of energy carriers. And this is where we have to invest. Startups and spin-offs.
So thank you for that. And it leads me to the final question. We see a lot of movements from entrepreneurs stepping into the climate space, looking for problems to solve. So you just gave two directions to what can be the next multi-billion-dollar company, startup company. The first one, sustainable hydrogen processes. The second one, with regards to geothermal.
And I can say you the third, solid oxide fuel cells. In Abu Dhabi, we have high temperatures, not PEMs. Solid oxide fuel cells. BASE is the governmental ministry that gave a lot of amount of money at Bristol to create nuclear power for hydrogen production processes. And they use solid oxide fuel cells. These are materials that can be used in any harvest environment you ever imagined.
So solid oxide fuel cells actually had a very interesting discussion. It's a market size today of $650 million, not that appealing for investors. There is a question in the market, Bosch taking the approach of betting on SOFC, solid oxide fuel cells. Others are shut down these processes because they think this is a dying business. It is to say from this panel that there is not a answer, but you need to be very specific and to conduct some thorough analysis on the problem that you wish to solve. Harold, this is one to you. What is your recommendation if an entrepreneur step into your door? What would be the next multi-billion-dollar company as you see it? Very short, please.
Very short is think big, because we have no time. I would like to remove the fear from failure. This is very important. If they fail, to fail fast. But the next thing, it will be, no doubt about it, will be a sustainable world, a totally different system of transportation. We have to think like we come from Mars and we come to the Earth and we have to build everything from scratch and we want to do it right. Transportation, heating, grid, whatever, hydrogen or ammonia, the market will decide what will be the next step. But think big, because the problems are not going to wait for us for 2030 and 2050.
And to agree. So to sum up, we discussed about leadership from governments and financiers and also entrepreneurs. We talked about tech innovation. We talked about market exploration as well as interaction process from the get-go, from spin out from the university and throughout the development processes. And we come about, and I think that the audience can live here today with a huge optimistic approach, that there are tons of opportunities in that field, in this energy transition. And again, would like to thank you all. We will be around here so you can catch every one of us. So have a nice day and clean day. Thank you.